Hi everybody, and welcome to the new series, and it's the 6th series of LNPG with our partners. Before we get started, I have to make a GDPR announcement because this is being recorded. Yes, if you don't want it to be recorded, you've got 3 choices: turn your video off, but also if you would like to leave, you can do. Okay. Hi everybody, my name's Nick Watcher and I'm the founder of LNPG for my sins. And tonight we've got Adele, who is our new account manager and our pricing queen, as we call her now. Yes, that's her new nickname. And we've got Luke, who everybody's probably met before. If you haven't, this is Luke, who's the senior account manager. He looks after social housing for Jewson's. Is that a good title for you?
Yeah, it's not bad. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll get that.
I'll do.
He looks after social housing and LNPG. We come under his banner. And there's going to be some exciting announcements made today. One on pricing, but also about the new team that they've put together to look after LNPG members and the way forward and the long-term relationship that we have with Jewson's. Because over the last 12 months, we're probably looking at doing around 3 million, and Jewson's are going to look to come into the market with us to try to double that business. And I said they've really got to be key on price, and they've got to look after LNPG members. And Adele, who's going to be looking after, is doing a great job. So I've introduced myself. You've got Tracy, who's one of the directors of LNPG, and you've got B, I call him B. Okay, say hi.
Hi.
Who's the new marketing guru, as I call him. Okay. Anthony's on holiday, so I hope this all goes well. So over to you, B.
So today we've got quite a lot to unpack, don't we? In terms of, like you mentioned, with the structure changes within the team at Jewson, as well as the pricing side of things. I mean, without further ado, what I'll do is I'll let Luke explain the history behind Jewson and everything that they've done so far, not to mention relationship that we've had with them, see how things have been in terms of during COVID and then post-COVID as well, and where we're going now, going forward.
Thanks, B. So, hi, everybody. So my title is actually Head of National Partnerships. So specifically what I do is look after national organisations for Jewson Partnership Solutions. We've got a team of account managers that do that, and we've got a central team that support us with that as well. So we are set up to support customers that have a national reach, and obviously LNPG comes within that. And it's been a great relationship. I think we started in 2018, I think it was, towards the end of 2018, and it's obviously grown arms and legs since then. And for those of you who remember, Leanne Hardy was the account manager before Adele. She's moved on to another job within JPS. And we obviously wish her well to do that. But what happened about 2 years ago was that we just took the decision to really support LNPG and the members in terms of putting Leanne solely responsible for LNPG. So we took all other accounts away from her. We just put her in responsible for LNPG solely and nobody else. And then she based herself in the office 2 or 3 days a week, and put a mobile number and our email address out to all the members to say, I'm available and I can take your calls and I can deal with your queries. And that was brilliant. And it worked really, really well. Lots and lots of members got a lot of benefit from that. Leanne was great. She did a huge amount of support work for everyone and really set up the structure for us going forward. What's happened now is that LNPG has grown beyond one person. It's grown beyond one individual being able to pick up every call and every email, which was always the intention, and it's really nice to see it has done. And so what we've put in place is a central team that supports national customers, but specifically and Adele will touch on this a little bit in the presentation later, but we put a team in place with a product champion for LNPG, so that you've got an LNPG inbox, and then that's manned by 4 or 5 people. And the beauty of that means that we're not at the mercy of one person maybe not being available or driving and not being able to take a phone call, or being on leave for 2 weeks and not being able to answer queries and that sort of stuff. So it levels the playing field in terms of our service offering, and being able to sort of guarantee good customer service and always being able to come back to you within a timely period. So that's really exciting, because it just means that we can support this partnership much, going forward much more. And then Adele is your new Leanne.
Hello.
And has taken up the mantle from Leanne, and has already put in a couple of things differently, and has already done really well to kind of run with all the things that are being thrown at her. So she'll go through that in a second. So some really exciting stuff, and I will get some questions about it later. But the next step with the central team is to develop that further, and the bigger LNPG gets, and the more queries we have, and the more demand on our time, the more that I'll be looking to increase the size of that team and take more people on to cope with that. So it's a good structure for now. It does what we need it to do right now, but it also is future proof as well. So it's really good. Does that answer your question, Bev?
Yeah, it does. I mean, to be honest, since I'm new to LNPG myself, this helps me understand the relationship between Jewson and LNPG a lot more as well. So I guess I could be classed as one of the members today.
Great.
So
I would say, also, it goes without saying that we really like this partnership. I've got a lot of time personally for Nick in terms of what he's done to set this up, and we like the people in the office. We work well together, and we're really committed to making this work. Which, and I can see Nick nodding his head there, because I
was just thinking Andy's a pain in the arse, isn't he?
we will. Obviously, I can't confirm or deny that. We will from time to time get things wrong. We won't always be perfect, and we'll make mistakes, and there'll be bumps in the road, absolutely, because that's how things work. But what we are committed to is jumping on that quickly and putting it right, learning from the mistakes, and then putting in things going forward that mean that doesn't reoccur. So yeah, just wanted to kind of make the point there that this is the long term for us. It always has been, ever since I took this on. It's always been about, how do we build this for the future? Because to me, it makes absolute sense. If you've got a group of people that are all doing the same thing, then what LNPG are doing, really resonates with me. So
good, thank you for that.
So Adele, how did you find yourself in the role? Like, I understand from LNPG and Jewson's perspective on the changes that we felt were required, or we felt would help both companies. But how did you get added into the equation?
So how I came into the equation, so just a little bit of background for myself. So I started off in PTS and TP, the enemies, the dark side as such, but I started off in their national team on the managed services, so within public sector. The account that I managed, internal account managed, that I had was a £15 million account, so it was a big account. I was very busy, and I came across to Jewson's as a pricing analyst, so that helps on all the pricing side, etc. I then quickly, not necessarily got bored, but needed more to do, so Luke's team took me on in developing other accounts, with a view of obviously always making me into an account manager. So I then helped look after the customer service team at the same time as that, and I then became the account manager for LNPG, along with various other accounts when Leanne moved on. So with obviously my background in pricing, and obviously my background with TP, national accounts, and all that sort of stuff, I had good background to do good things for you guys, hopefully.
Of course. And of course, we'll see that in evidence as we go forward as well.
Obviously.
So since you have taken on this role, what kind of changes have you, or what initially did you feel like was necessary? What were the priorities for yourself?
So your accounts, unlike others, and it is more like a little bit of a framework, so I tried to approach it in a different way anyway, and obviously there was a lot of shouting about pricing. It was a big issue that needed to be addressed, I think, first. So I sort of like just went along with what's the highest sales with those products, can we move on price, let's see about that, let's calm down the shouting so much, and then sort of obviously trained the customer service staff to be more like internal account managers for the account, as opposed to actually just sitting there placing orders, doing quotes, etc. Being more personable and being that almost another version of me that's there for them. So I think, yeah, there was a lot of implementation. It wasn't just pricing. I mean, obviously pricing is a huge thing, but again, which I'll touch on when I do the presentation, it's more of like, if people want to bring me a quote what they've had elsewhere, I'll always look at bettering the price. So yeah, I think within bringing that in, it's got a lot quieter with people shouting about prices. I mean, we still obviously have people wanting quotes matched. That's going to be life.
Yeah.
And I'd be disappointed if I didn't have people trying to do that. So yeah, I think there's bits and pieces that I've definitely brought to it that I think are working, and yeah, just it'll be about refining them, I think.
So we go on with the presentation, and then loads of questions will come off of that.
So obviously, slight introduction. You've obviously had a brief introduction to myself. I'm Adele. I look after LNPG with Jewson Partnership Solutions. So I thought it was best to start with the customer support team. So we have Nikki, who leads up the whole team. She's our customer experience manager. Then I think a lot of you have probably already had some sort of interaction with Cheryl. She's our LNPG champion. So when I say that I was trying to get the girls into being another internal like account manager, Cheryl was sort of like where we started with that with LNPG, and named her the champion of the account. So she'll help the others and guide them, and anything that they think they need to know, then obviously she's there to sort of communicate between the customer experience advisors. So then we have Sarah, Charlie and Louise. So they'll also be manning the inbox. I think Louise spends quite a bit of time in there as well. Sarah's been with us quite a while, but Charlie and Louise are quite new, but have picked it up so quickly and can only see good things happening with them. If you flick to next slide, Bav, and I'll just go through some of the points of what they're there for them. So these are, they're all there, a dedicated team for all of your quotes and inquiries. So if you have a quote, sometimes the branch aren't as best equipped to look at the pricing and things, and for us to get the best price, it is best to go through and email through into our customer support team. Obviously all inquiries are welcome within that, and to get through to there. They are as well a support with any of the transactions. So within just getting a quote, we can see the transactions from end to end to make sure that you're getting the service that actually you deserve. So they're sort of like an aftercare as well as a support within your transactions. So they're obviously also there for complaints. So if anything's going wrong, we have it always go through our team. We have a lot go through our team. I mean, a lot of you choose to use your local branches because it's easier, you know what you want, you're just going to walk into your branch and go and get it, which is absolutely fine. And we understand that actually some of you have relationships with the branches and things. If something does go wrong and that service does slip, then by all means, email into the inbox and we'll have that escalated straight away. Obviously, they're the first point of escalation, and then their manager, Nikki, would be the next point of escalation. And if it got any worse, then obviously, or couldn't be resolved, then obviously I'd be the next point of escalation. We have a telephone line being installed, which is really exciting news.
When's that coming?
Just on the telephone line, because I was dealing with it today. There was a hold up with getting the, I don't know why, but there's a hold up with actually getting a quote from Telefonica. So we've got that yesterday. So it's all been, I've got the approvals and all that kind of stuff. That's all gone through. That's fine. So it's been sent off to Telefonica to say, yes, we want this. So I assume at some point very soon, they'll say when it's going to go in. As soon as I know that, I can let you know. But
one of the things that get chucked at me is sometimes people just want to pick up the phone.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Want to pick up the phone, put an order in, get a price, and we can pay over the phone, can't we? Because that's really important.
We've been talking about a telephone line for some time, and we did. Yeah. I mean, I think it was probably about 3 or 4 months ago we actually put in the request for it. So it's been a long time coming.
We'd be able to pay over the phone, and they will be able to put that order through. So if I ring up and I want XYZ timber, door frames, etc., I can ring up, get a price, happy with it, pay on the phone, and the team will then sort that order out at the local branch. Is that correct?
Or yeah,
Yeah,
that is. But all I will say on that, Nick, is that if it's a big quote, like you've got to understand, some of them are like 20-line quotes. In which case, don't ring something like that in. Email it in. If they want to pay over the phone, they're still more than welcome. Just email it in. Just say I'd like to pay over the phone with this. Once you've got my prices back over, and that is not an issue at all. They're more than welcome to pay over the phone with it. But anything that's a large quote, there's no point in ringing it in. The girls got to find it. It's better when it's in black and white in front of them, and it's also a good email trail as well then for them to, you know, have past history and stuff to be able to pull any information back up. So it is good that you still use that email inbox.
So what's the timeline? If let's say I put in an email before 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock in that day, or I put it in, like, let's say at 6, 7 o'clock at night when I've come home, how quickly will you come back to the member, but also to do the quote? Okay, so our quotes, we tend to bring back within less than 24 hours. In fact, it's usually within 12 hours. So I'd like to say, you know, we'll get the quote over as soon as possible, but it will be upon them to say, okay, yes, I'm happy with that quote. I'd like to, you know, call. Yeah, but if I send a quote in early, me and Luke have been talking to get that quote done that same day. Is that still possible? Yeah, I mean, obviously, everything's all going to be circumstantial, and I get it. But yeah, if it was a normal basic stuff, they're going to have the stuff in, or, you know, it's a basic transaction, then yes, not an issue at all. We'll get the quote straight over. 9 times out of 10, it's what's on your term, so it'll be really dead easy. The quote will be bashed out, and you can pay there, and then you can do it within, you know, the same day. If you get it in at 11 o'clock in the morning, I'd like to think that you're buying it by the afternoon. But yeah, it's just, so what we're trying to get to is an SLA, so we can say you will get this by this time. And so far, I think it's safe to say that we can always come back to you the same day, even if it's to say we need to go off to the supplier and find out how much that costs and all that sort of stuff. But if it's, you know, if it's shelf stuff, then it is. So that's my point. Just depends. Just depends. But people don't want to be waiting like 48 hours, 2-3 days to get a quote back. Yeah, there's an issue with quote when we're looking for a price. Will one of the team go back to the member and communicate that? Because that does get frustrating. Yeah, so I've always told Cheryl, and I always say, look, even if it's going to take some time, just pre-warn the customers that actually, we're looking into this, or just explaining exactly what you're doing. Always be honest. Just say, look, I'm waiting on this supplier, or I've contacted this supplier and this is what I'm doing. So yeah, there should constantly be communications, and if that's not happening, I'm more than happy to follow that up. But as even Roger just said, usually within 2 hours he's had a quote, and that's generally standard, to be fair. If it's normal stuff and it's coming through, your quotes will be fired out. We've got a whole team, which also does bring me to like the little bit at the bottom where I'm saying here, don't email their personal email. So when our girls email from the LNPG inbox, their personal emails on it. I say personal, it's not their home email, but their work email. And some people will only reply back to them. But the problem is, if they're off or anything like that, that's not getting responded to. So you just need to make sure you're replying back to the LNPG inbox as well as them, just so your responses get seen and sorted, basically. Okay, that's a really, really good point.
Say, for instance, if a member makes a phone call, places an order, how would they track that in terms of, would they receive an email within the same day, or just updating the whole situation in terms of what they've ordered, what the price is?
So with every order we put through as a team, because we're not in a branch, because we can't be in every branch, we always communicate with the branch to say, right, we've placed this order with you, could you let the customer know, or we get the branch to sort of liaise with them, because it's going to be the branch that's going to be either delivering them or they're going to be collecting from that branch, and the branch will need to raise that order. So say if they had a quote and they wanted to pay over the phone, I mean, they don't have to. 9 times out of 10, how it usually works is we do a quote and it's got the branch details on, and we tell them to either liaise with the branch, or they can call us and pay over the phone. 9 times out of 10 they liaise with the branch, probably because they know them, they've got a relationship with them already.
You're picking up the goods from there as well often.
Yeah, they're picking up the goods. 9 times out of 10 they want to collect. They want to put it on the van, and they go into empty properties, so they don't want it delivered to an empty property because they might not be there. 9 times out of 10 they collect.
For me, it's about what's easiest for the customer as well. So if you want to pay on the phone because that's what's easiest for you, then we'll do that. If you want to go and get the goods and pay while you're there, that's fine as well. Sometimes what happens is that you go to the branch to get what's on the quote, and then you find actually there's another couple of bits that you've forgotten about or need to get as well, or the branch say, well, have you got something to go with that, or whatever it might be. So it just depends on it. It's whatever's easiest for the customer. We're happy to do it.
But we've got some members, they will live down south or live up north, but their property is like 200 miles away. Yeah. So
delivery or something.
Like me, I'll ring up your team, Adele, yes, or I will put the email together, send it in. I want to be able to ring, pay over the phone, and get that branch then to deliver their products to the house or site. That can be done that way, can't it?
Yes, yes, definitely. The only thing I will say is when we're delivering to a site, there has to be someone on site to take the delivery. We can't just leave goods, obviously, at a place with no one to sign for it.
No, of course, I totally understand.
So that's all I'll say there. But yes, most definitely you can do that. Pricing, everyone's obviously most anticipated subject. So obviously in July when I first took over, I overhauled the whole term. So I took the term, I looked at your highest sales in volume, looked at what I could do with those prices, because obviously they're most broad products, and did what I could. But I also, with this, sort of said, we can't do something with, I couldn't go through it line by line. There's literally thousands of lines. So I always said, just, if you're going to have your better price somewhere else, then send it in the quote and I'll see what I can do. This has been actually happening, which has been absolutely fantastic. And I can honestly say so far, touch wood, I've always been able to match or better the price. Admittedly, some of the times I've had to tighten a margin. And on a couple of occasions, I've had to do it where I'm slightly more expensive on a couple of products, but actually the basket price has been sort of like 20% cheaper. Had that recently with Blair up in Scotland, who is doing the new builds up there from the nursing homes and changing them. He had an MKM quote and sent it over to me, said, what can you do? I worked with it. I think a couple of the products that weren't high quantities, I could just about match, or was a little bit like a few pence more. But actually the overall basket, we absolutely smashed. So, and he did say, because he's got such a good relationship with the guys in the branch as well, that he was coming to us to use us, which was really good. Had another guy as well, which I've never really used before, and I think he was quite a new member, with some paving slabs as well. Had a TP quote. I mean, I had to really tighten my margin, but because I went out and actually matched it, and I think I bettered it by 2 pence for him per paving slab, because that's as much as I could do. But he then gave us a quote with a massive load of products on it, and so it was well worth it. And I think again it is about building those relationships with these people that are going to bring in, and with these quotes, it's no good people saying, I can get that cheaper elsewhere. A lot of the times it's not been like for like products. It's not been the same door that they've got from Selco isn't the same as the Prem door that we're selling. It is one of those, and I'm quite happy a lot of the times, like on other quotes where it's not been like for like, they're happy to go for the cheaper product. I'm quite happy to quote the cheaper product, and I've just swapped out the products, and actually when we swap out the products, we smash them on price. So I like to think we've done a lot with pricing, and I'm not going to say we're completely there yet. I think it still needs a lot of people of like sending in the competitors' quotes and stuff, so we can actually rework these prices constantly, and actually then adjust them on the term.
But so, mentioning what Luke said, you won't be beaten on price. That was Luke's word.
I've not said that.
No, but Luke did. Yeah, I have cut that right out there.
We haven't been so. You want us to say yes, because that's the whole point, really. What we're trying to do here is save your members money. Yeah. It's like just to open that door a little bit. It's not as straightforward as just saying here's the lowest prices in the market for every product that a member might want to buy, and you can go into any branch and get them, because there's so much to it. There's branches buy at different levels. They might buy some timber in at a certain price, and then 6 months later they're buying in timber at a completely different price, and then you've got a blended cost price, and we're trying to work out how we make sure that we make money in that respect. And so it's and then you've got local arrangements. So quite, I think probably a lot of the members will resonate with this in terms of you go into a branch and the branch says, I can do that cheaper actually because I've got a local supplier. It's an SME. His overheads are lower, so therefore his cost price is lower to me, so I can buy it in cheaper. So it's, you know, to manage a national term when you're looking at one customer, so one customer's buying it and looking at their finance report, it's a lot easier because you're looking at a blended margin across all of those products. But when you're looking at lots of individual people, you've got to be much more meticulous with all the prices. So that's why we say we'll match quotes, because it's impossible to just put out a best price for everything, because you'll find something somewhere that's cheaper. You will, because that's the nature of businesses now.
And off loose aggregates, wasn't it? I mean, because it varied from one place to another, and it was just, you know.
And what happens a lot is that merchants will and retailers the like will sell out at a loss in this product over here, because that brings people into their business, and then they sell other products that are much more expensive. So what we're trying to say is we don't do that. It'll always be a good price on the term, and we'll always aim for that to be the best possible price. But really the message is it's we set up a national price to get the best possible price, but you also get the price locally as well. So one of Adele's changes was to unlock the term so that the branch can actually go in and reduce prices if he's got a better local arrangement.
That's my point, because you get good branches that automatically do that. Yeah. And then you get not so good branches, yes, and you get somebody behind the counter saying, well, I can beat that price.
Yeah, but then they should beat it and sell it to them on, they can adjust the price.
The lower price.
Because a lot of the time, those products that they can beat the price on isn't actually a termed product. So it's a product that's not on your term. So yeah, they probably can, because it's not.
Sorry, Adele, I'm talking over you. I was just going to say the other side to it is that we have commercial directors that work in Jewson that look after branches pricing and make sure that they don't sell out at a negative margin and don't lose money. And I get an email from a regional commercial director probably every other day saying these prices are too cheap. I've got customers that pay double this. Why are you selling it so cheap? And I have to go into explaining what LNPG is and how it works. And that usually satisfies them, but it doesn't stop them from moaning about pricing. So for me, that tells me that we're doing something right, because I've got someone saying these are too cheap. But then we also have members coming in and say, I can get this cheaper elsewhere. And that's not because they're both wrong. It's because there's so many products across the whole board that we just have to be very clever and reactive. So, reactive to when people say, I found it cheaper elsewhere. So great, let's see the quote. Let's have a look. Let's see if we can match it for what we've got to start off with. And now let's look at the term and say, well, why was it cheaper? Is it because we've got the price wrong? Is it because there was a local arrangement that was better? And all the reasons I gave earlier. So we've got this kind of proactive measure of trying to get the best price for you. But crucially, it's being reactive and saying, okay, well, let's see that quote then. Let's match it. And we'll match quotes even if we lose money, because we want to put it across that we should be the best on price. So when you say, can we guarantee best prices? Well, yeah, because that's the whole motivation, is to make it.
I just wanted you to explain what you've just said, because that is so hard to put over to members. Okay, because they're not contractors, they're not housing associations, and they just want to walk in, buy a product, and that's why I think the team you've got behind the key accounts team of all them 4 or 5 people is really, really important, because I just tell everybody, go directly to them, get the price, job's done. Okay, if there's an issue with pricing, Adele gets involved. And that's why I called her Queen Price, pricing queen. Sorry.
Just to pick up on, I see a couple of comments on. Always see other, because it's a good point of saying MDF skirting's always cheaper elsewhere. And it's one of the reasons for that is that if we went to a new build contractor who's building 10,000 houses, we'd know that we'd need to buy several miles of skirting board, and therefore when we got that particular product in, we'd get a very, very good price, and they'd get it for a very good price. without that volume, we're not buying it in like that. But various merchants will buy different things in volume. So there's another merchant that will buy doors in, for example, in pallet loads, because of the nature of the contracts that they've got, and therefore their other customers will get that cheaper as well. So there are challenges that we have as a company, but again, it's about us then being reactive and saying, okay, well, if LNPG members are buying this particular item, how often is it going to come up? And then I've got a case to go to a supplier and say, look, I've got LNPG here. There's the X number of members. These are the volumes I'm expecting, and negotiate the better price so that we can pass that on to you. But it comes with volume, so that is a real challenge trying to match that. And I definitely hear the bit around you don't want to have to just go off to other places to see the best price. I totally accept that. I think the key thing with that is that we're constantly looking at the term, we're constantly reviewing it, and the quotes that we do get in is and it's trying to make it so that it is the best possible price. So we don't just sort of set the prices and leave and go. We're constantly reviewing them and trying to make those the best that we are.
Yeah, I was going to pick up on that. I did see from Roger that he had put that. And I like to think that people are satisfied with their quotes and they won't need to go elsewhere. But obviously people do go and get quotes elsewhere, and that's fine. All I will say is 9 times out of 10 that people have had other quotes from competitors, it's not been like-for-like products. It's been cheaper products. So it is maybe on our fault, and maybe we shouldn't be quoting more quality products. But again, that's another thing I'll say. I mean, it's, do you want to pay for a fire door for £30 that's going to last you a year and you replace it however many times each year, or do you want to pay £100 for that fire door and you don't have to replace it for 10? So it's swings and roundabouts. It's it's fine.
No, keep with the quality products, Adele. I don't want to suddenly be known for selling cheap stuff. That's not our game. It's about, if I can buy that cheap stuff and I can match that with a quality product and maybe a little bit more expensive, yes, or we match it, then you're only going to fit once. Otherwise, they're going to start fitting twice. I don't want to be known for start selling cheap products, just so that we can get to a price point to keep everybody happy. One of the things across the board, we only really sell quality. So that's really, really important to the ethos of LNPG. But I do hear Roger and I do hear Richard, from a point of view. I know it's like needle in a haystack. It's getting that price point correctly. And I know
it's going to take time. It is going to take time. And I think the price overhaul, we hear a lot less shouting now. We're definitely getting somewhere, I think.
Yes.
And like you say, with the team in place as well, less gets slipped through. It's all monitored. We tend to price as best as we can, and we know when it's a bigger product. If something comes through and it's got high quantities, we don't do term price. We'll do actually the high quantities, we'll look at that, and if we can move it, we'll move it for them. So that is the beauty of using our team as well.
And again, it's about the service as well. And I say this to everybody, and people who listen on Facebook or watch this recording afterwards, if you have a problem, please pick up the phone. You have 5 people looking after you. You have 13 inside LNPG, with Jewson's, in our office. It is about, sometimes we have to, I always say this, put a square peg in a round hole. It's the way of the world at the moment. So we listen, Adele adapts, she will look at everything that you give her. So please, if you've got a problem on price or something you're not happy about, just let us know. If we don't know about it, or if there is a problem with delivery or something's gone wrong, don't wait 5 days to tell us, because then our back's against the wall, because you always say, I need it tomorrow. I've waited 5 days, 48 hours. If there's a problem, don't wait any more than 48 hours, please. I had a situation with a guy last night. He said, I've been waiting 5 days. And I went, why? Let me know after 48 hours. Now I've got 3 days head start. Please. and you're meeting the team, you're meeting Luke, you're meeting Adele. Yes. So they are human beings. They are nice people to deal with. Just pick up the phone. And this is for all the people that are watching on social media who are going to watch it later, etc., etc. Don't wait. Just pick up the phone.
And speaking of social media, Bilal Ali's just commented on Facebook, saying that I appreciate you constantly reviewing your prices, as I really don't have time to get quotes from elsewhere. I want to be able to trust that when I buy it from Jewson, I'm getting the best prices without having to go anywhere else to get valid quotes.
Yeah, and that's our aim. That's what we plan to do. So, yeah.
Perfect. And also, he had a comment in regards to the customer support side of things. So he said, when I receive quotes from yourselves for delivery, the associate's invoice never appear on the online account, and are never emailed over. But I mean, assuming that now we've got a dedicated team, so this will make things a lot easier going forward.
Yeah, should be. But any problems with like that, just email back into the team or get in touch with myself, and we can sort something. Make sure it's everything's all done as to how he needs it. It's not a problem. So George Boyd, obviously part of Jewson Partnership Solutions is George Boyd, and they've recently come on as your ironmongery solution. Luke Daniels heads up the team for George Boyd. He did want to be here to say a bit of a piece, but unfortunately he's on annual leave. So I've just sort of like put a little bit together. I won't be able to answer loads of questions on it, only from what I deal with on my side. So yeah, like us, they have a dedicated inbox with a little team. So all inquiries to be emailed to LNPG at George Boyd. And you can make payments over the phone. Again, I think that's actually how they do it. They do all payments over the phone. So you can talk to the sales team as well. So if you don't want to email in, it's just a quick query. Then you can just pick up the phone. You've got the sales number there. If you need the details sent out, I can more than happy to send out to anybody. And you can contact still through our LNPG inbox, and we'd get you the details. So for technical inquiries, because obviously we know with ironmongery, there is obviously ones that are made to measure and etc. for door closures and handles, etc. So for technical inquiries, we do ask that you contact Lewis Clear. I've got his contact details there again, and I think they are on your, I like to say your portal, but I don't know whether they definitely are or not. So Lewis heads up the team who you email into, and he will sort out any of your technical inquiries, or if anything goes wrong, he's the first point of escalation as well. So that's pretty much it on George Boyd, I'm afraid, unless anybody's got any particular questions that I can try and answer.
Yeah, in terms of Lewis Clear's contact details, I believe we do have them as a footnote on the George Boyd webpage. If not, I'll get them added this evening. But yeah, to be honest, there is quite a lot of information on George Boyd available on our website. So if anyone does need any additional information or any support with anything, just hop on there to get all the details.
Adele.
Yeah.
There is a problem with invoices. I
have noticed them flagging up. I'm going to look into that.
Can you look at that? Because if you purchase something, these guys are going to need an invoice.
Yeah. So yeah, that's fine. Just if one of you could actually email me in, and for instance, of when you've had a purchase, just so I can try and track the actual transaction and see why this isn't happening, and actually how to rectify it. So if
I think Roger came up there, and Hugh, can you do me a favour? Can you email Adele when you've purchased something, and she'll track it all back to see why you haven't got the invoice?
Yeah, or even send me an old transaction that you know that you've done, like, you know, date or time or anything, or your LNP number, and I'll have a look. It's every time for everything. Okay. Sorry about that, Hugh. We will get that.
Should get them. Yeah, should get them emailed.
Any problems with like that, and you need the invoices and things, because you're always going to need your invoices. Always just email in and we'll sort out and get something sent to you. But that should be happening. So yeah, definitely, if you can send me in some sort of transaction examples, and I can at least flag it with who I need to.
Adele, can you put on the chat your email address, so they'll send it to you directly?
Yeah, that's fine. Be great.
So Luke, back to Build Aviator. What really is Build Aviator? Like, from my understanding, it's mainly for major projects, right?
All projects, yeah. So we did a presentation on Build Aviator last year sometime, and brought the Build Aviator team on and went through it. So we could definitely do something like that again to go through it in more detail. I know about it and know how it works. I don't know the ins and outs of the detail because I don't actually do it myself. But Build Aviator is a great service. It's looking at any project, whether it's putting together some decking or building a house. So what they do is they take the technical drawings of that and then put it into the Build Aviator system. And essentially what it does is gives you a list of materials that you're going to need and quantities. And a lot of work that Leanne did on this was making sure that it tied in the LNPG pricing when it came out, because it didn't to start off with, and she had to manually do it. But essentially, you submit the drawings, and then it's a chargeable service. I'm not sure what it is off the top of my head, but it depends on the size of the project, of course, as well.
I think we get charged £250 as LNPG special offer for our members.
Is it? Right,
Yeah.
okay. And I understand you get that back as well if you purchase through the system. If you purchase the materials, you get that feedback. I'm pretty sure that's right.
If you purchase above 51%, is that the one?
No,
That
that's
makes
just their
sense.
normal. That's just their
Or is that for
normal
the
deal.
estimation?
Right. So but essentially in terms of the service, it's if you've got a big project and you've got drawings for that project, what it will do is work out what materials you need. Is the basic idea of Build Aviator. So, and Build Aviator launched originally for large projects, so extensions, new houses, that sort of stuff. And then a little while afterwards, they brought out Build Aviator Lite, which was exactly the same functionality, but for much smaller projects. So replacing a window or building decking or something, on that kind of scale.
Oh, I did not know about Build Aviator Lite, because I've always told people that they'll do extensions upwards.
Yeah, no, there's a service for much smaller projects as well.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
I mean, and it's something that, like I say, we could bring. There's a team of people working in Build Aviator that do that. Certainly bring one of them on to present it in full and go through the details of how it might work for your members specifically. So yeah, happy to do that.
Okay. Good.
All right, perfect. So going forward, or what strategies are you planning that you think will have the biggest impact in terms of like sales growth or retention for customers?
Well, probably two. Do you want to answer that, Del? Or
Either
do you want me
or.
to?
No, you're fine. You go.
Well, so two things for me, and I'll jump in if you want to add anything to it. But the two things for me are the structure we put in place. So the central team supporting your members, the fact that can grow with we can increase the resource as per demand, which I think is really, really key. That we've not set something up for the short term. This is now something that's in place and can last for however long it needs to last, and for however many inquiries need to come in, we can flex. So I think that's really, really positive and definitely going to take us forward in terms of LNPG's support and member spend. So the structure and what we put in place is really important. But I would say the other bit, which is equally as important, is supporting the pricing with clever analytics. So what we're doing, we've got a commercial team now centrally as well. I'm working with looking at what my members spend most of the money on, essentially. So, and then boiling that down by supplier, and then so we can go to those suppliers and say, look, we've got a customer here, and they spend this amount with you. They probably would spend more, but if your products were cheaper, what can you do in terms of support? What can you do in terms of supporting us with this contract? Now, we do this already for all housing associations and contractors that spend with us directly, because we know what their volume is going to be ahead of time, because it's tendered for and it's contractual. It's different with LNPG because it's not guaranteed. So we have to look at the data, which we've got a bit of now because we've been trading for a few years, and then sell that to the suppliers to say, look, this is a really good opportunity for you and for us and for LNPG. In terms of going forward, if you know, if member spend goes up to what it could be, what sort of support could you give us? So that's key really in terms of driving down pricing for you. That's the next step in that.
Okay, brilliant. And as yourself and Adele mentioned, you've got a dedicated team now, so that will help with any queries, any quote side of things as well to expedite that as well.
That was probably what I was just going to touch on really is the team are not only, you know, we've obviously grown them, which has given them more support and quicker turnaround in the inbox, but we've grown them into sort of mini account managers. So, you know, Cheryl is a champion, and she's you know, she's really good. She knows the account really well. And I think, you know, they're a great support network for all the members. I think a lot of them know the girls, you know, now, and I think with that relationship there as well, it's always going to improve day upon day. So yeah.
But no, I mean, from our point of view, over the last 3-4, since really the last 6 months, the account has gone really, really well. Shouting about pricing is very few issues, but there are still a few issues. And if a branch, and this is the other thing I want to say, if a branch says, oh, I can beat that price, it means he's doing a local product pricing.
Yeah, I think it'd be a non-termed product. If I'm honest, I mean, I've had more and more branch managers ring me up now going, oh, have you got details for LNPG? I've got a customer and I've been telling them it's get some really good prices. So, you know, for me, that's really good. I've had, you know, a couple of branches now that I've now given the details out. So, you know, it's like Luke says, I get branch managers coming to me all the time saying, you're selling this too cheap. You're selling this too cheap. We've got no margin, but it's negative. It's this, it's that. And I'm like, no, it's all fine. We're doing this because, you know, of competitive pricing and things like that. So, you know, for me, I think we're doing the right thing, and I think we've got the best prices, but we're never going to get it completely right. I think that's actually nigh on impossible. There's always going to be someone that's got some special offer on, or like it's a locally priced product. There's always going to be something, which is the whole point of our support team. It's the whole point of you being able to pick up the phone to them soon and just going, you know, I've gone into so-and-so branch and, you know, this price is silly. I can get this loads cheaper elsewhere. And it's looking into it. It's you know, that's the beauty of us, is that we're a service as well.
Can you explain how, when I order 30 sheets of Sterling board, it went? What does it say?
I've got 8 sheets of
30 sheets of 2440 by 1220 Sterling board. I get 8 sheets of 2440 by 1200 in among them.
Well, I'd be more worried about which ones you were charged for. I'm hoping you were only charged for the smaller boards, if you received the smaller boards. I would imagine it was probably a typo in request or something like that from us. I can only apologise, but yeah, when something like that happens, always shout about it.
Yeah, I tell you what that is. I reckon that's the 2400 by 1200 has been put back on top of the wrong pile, and then another load of the 2440 1220s have gone back on top of that. So I'd imagine that's probably what's happening. It's just a mistake in the branch, I'd have thought. It's not something that comes up very often.
So a phone call if it's caused you an issue.
Yeah, just let us know what it is. We'll sort it out.
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay.
But yeah, that pretty much sums it up in terms of the Facebook side of things as well.
Okay, great. Can I thank you two for your hard work this year? Okay, because I know an awful lot of hard work's gone in, and especially Adele looking at the whole pricing file and going down by line by line. She lies. She did go down by line by line. Yeah,
I did on the high sales, but you had to. I had to.
Yes. And yeah, so really thanks for all the hard work and your dedication to LNPG members for the long haul. And thanks, Luke, for putting the team in place. That's a long time coming, but we've got it now. So really appreciate that. And the members who are using it, fill your boots with them. But so just like to say thank you very much. And thanks for your support over the last couple of years, and especially through COVID, because you did look after us, and our members where everybody else was closed. So this is our first, this is series 6, episode 1. So B, what's next week? I forgot.
So we've got Loft next week. So if anyone's got
Loft. Also, we've got Loft is our furniture company. We're still doing business with the other lot, but we're going to be promoting Loft as well. So again, please come and join us. and you can have an insight on the pricing and what they're doing for LNPG members. Have a great Wednesday evening. Is Wednesday today? Yes, it is. Tracy, it's Wednesday all day today. She thought it was Thursday.
Don't go
Wishful
thinking
thinking,
tomorrow.
Nick.
Okay, and I know Anthony's in, where's Anthony? He's in Greece.
Greece.
I already know he's here because he's just typed in there. Yep. Hi, Anthony. Hope you're having a great holiday, and I look forward to seeing everybody really soon. All right. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Speak to you
Take
soon.
care.
Night.
Bye.
Night.
Thanks
Bye.
all.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you all. Bye.